I want their leader brought here. I want him brought to me. I want the revolution crushed.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Mamluks. My name is Sim. Along with me is my trusty Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikh Heimer, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What? Thank you for having you.
Thank you for having me.
I'll have you with the side of fries, Sheikh. MashaAllah.
Call me a cheeseburger, no problem.
Welcome to the show, everyone. We have a wonderful episode for you guys this evening. Before we get started, help us out on patreon.com/Mamluks. Every little bit helps, and we survive with your support, mashallah. Please be so kind and throw a comment in the comment section below, and
keep it clean.
The old like button, smash that like button.
Keep the comments clean.
Yeah, keep it clean, folks.
No wars.
Sometimes it's a little too clean, though. We need a little drama,
balance, a little
spice, like some of the other podcasters, some of the British podcasters. You heard what's going on in the UK
with MH and stuff?
Spicy stuff, bro.
Yeah, bro.
But I don't understand. Well, like, people need to keep stuff. It's personal stuff, personal life stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't see the big deal. It's like consenting adults, you know. Stuff sometimes goes wrong.
Yeah.
Misunderstandings happen in relationships.
All the time.
Relationships are complicated, Sheikh.
Very.
They can be like a small relationship, just a few month relationship, just a fling, as they call it in the West. A fling. There could be volumes and poetries written about it, and you know, all kinds of different, you know, extrapolation can happen from just a small relationship. I don't understand the big deal. I mean, it could be a big deal in front of the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe somebody did an injustice towards the other, but in terms of what's happening with non-Muslim communities and kiddie fiddlers and stuff, our stuff is pretty minor. We have the old Wissams once in a while, but Wissam, he's just coined a phrase. It's a Wissam situation.
Wow, we really took a turn. I was getting ready to talk to a prepper. I was going to talk to a prepper tonight, but this turned into another type of pepper.
You're not playing ball with me, and I'm just rambling.
No, I was just wondering where this was going to go.
Yeah, you're just letting my mouth keep running. This is supposed to be tennis, shit. You paddle something back.
No, because a lot of times when you go off on a tangent at the end or something, I got used to not judging you halfway through your speech because I end up looking stupid sometimes because you actually have something good at the end. But this time, alhamdulillah, this is pretty decent too. You know, but anyways.
In light of the current situation that's happening around the world, chaotic events unfolding, markets on the brink, tilting.
People holding onto the trigger more firmly
We
now.
brought a guest that will, inshallah, be a benefit to you, your community, in case everything goes sideways, as they call it. How do the British say?
Everything gone pear-shaped.
Pear-shaped.
In case things go pear-shaped. But yeah, dude, I mean, and I like the whole of our esteemed guest, the prepper aspect to this too. That's why I think one of the main reasons why, be honest, you like preppers. That's one of the main reasons why.
Because
I think the guns and ammo part is secondary.
I feel being a prepper is part of our belief system. We believe everything's going to go pear-shaped. That's part of our Islamic eschatology, as they say, the science of the end of times, is that everything's going to go pear-shaped.
Sorry, Brits.
So in that, it's part of our belief to be prepared for that event, right? So in light of that, we have the founder of Qawwam Tactical, the one and only Sayyid Hussain Rehman. Welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you for having me.
That's a
Thank you for coming, bro.
T-shirt you got there.
Yeah, I like the quality too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we were.
How'd you come up with the name, man? Qawwam Tactical. I like the name.
Yeah. You know, I always, all these like schools or companies that do firearms, they always have like really cool names like Spartan Tactical and all that kind of stuff. You know, I wanted to come up with something that was like kind of like, you know, like kind of like the warrior mentality, kind of like a protector, guardian, and you know, the Qawwamun or the Qawwam was what came to my mind. So that's where it started.
That's beautiful. And when did you start this journey of becoming tactical and getting into firearms? And
well, I grew up in a family that on my mother's side we had multiple combat veterans, you know, overseas. So I kind of grew up in a family that had firearms, or like when I would go visit home, there would be firearms in the home. They would share stories, things like that from their time. So I grew up in a family where that was kind of normal or talked about. And then from that, you know, once I kind of became independent, I started getting more into it. Started taking more training, got into the competitive shooting aspect of it. Really dug deep and just put a lot of my time and effort and money into that.
Have you thought about like Olympic style shooting, like that Turkish guy, that sharpshooter?
So that's one.
Is that different?
Yes, that's one kind of shooting. So like within the shooting sports, there's all these various disciplines, just like martial arts. So that Olympic style shooting is one kind of shooting, but I do. In the United States, we have a league called the USPSA.
Okay.
So that's for like what we call action shooting sports, which is for pistol. Oh, thank you. And then I also do 3-gun or multi-gun, which is the same kind of action shooting, but with rifle, shotgun, and pistol. So I like that kind of sport more because it's more. It takes on a more, not fully realistic, but it's a more like action, like you're running around with a rifle. You're engaging realistic targets. You know, you're not just kind of like standing there.
I saw. You know, when I knew he was serious, like a lot of guys are a lot into guns and stuff like that. But people always, when John Wick or any of these gun movies are released, they show the actor going training at that thing where they're all shooting a whole bunch of different targets and like they got to move around and stuff like that. Yeah. When I saw a video of him like that, I was like, all right, this dude, mashallah, man, he's the real deal, dude.
I got some videos that queued up here to show. I just I hope you don't mind. I went.
By the way, we didn't ask you permission for any of that.
I spied on you on Facebook.
It's all public, that's why.
Yeah, of course.
As long as you don't mind.
No worries. I have no idea what it's about to show.
This is kind of like those video clips that when Conan or late night people are showing.
Oh yeah, this is like that's like one of my first. This is my first match I ever shot actually. So yeah, this is 3-gun. So this is where I'm literally quad loading a shotgun. So like you see this in John Wick. I mean, that's where he learned it from, 3-gun. And so you see me.
What does quad loading mean?
So you literally take 4 shells in your hand and you
stuff
them in the tube all at once in like a certain specific way.
Got it. No, I've seen that before. I've seen somebody do that before on the screen. Yeah.
Really? Oh, thank you.
So old, I suck at this time. This was my first match.
Why are you showing all the new stuff? Why are you showing all the old stuff, bro?
Posted it.
No, it's okay.
I'm messing with you. We're gonna show the improvements. Don't worry.
No, this is pretty old actually. Yeah, this is an older video. 2018 it says.
Yeah, this is really old. I could barely shoot a Texas Star at that time.
It's a long time ago, 2018. This is the time where you started getting into ranges and started going to these type of ranges around 2018?
Yeah, so I was starting to just come out of college at that moment, trying to kind of get my own money so I can start to buy guns.
Yeah.
And
he's still going. I thought I exited out of the video.
All the people here in the background gunshots. They see his face and they hear gunshots.
Oh, here we go. Here's something cool, right?
Oh, yeah, this was in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. So you have to shoot those, jump over the fence. Just grab the rifle, engage targets at 100 yards.
That's 100 yards. And how long ago was this one?
That one, I want to say
2020.
2020?
Yeah. Like this was, they called this Blue Line 3-gun match. This was a charity match, actually. And it was probably one of my favorite matches I've ever shot. Unfortunately, they don't hold it anymore. But what was cool about this part was that you can't see it in the video, but there's like a line that's attached to my hand right there, and there's resistance, like pulling like a dog, like a police dog. It's like pulling your hand while you're shooting.
While you even inside of those little rooms?
No, like where I was shooting the pistol right there.
Okay, got it.
Wait, so there's a dog biting you?
No. They had like this thing on a rappel, like they had this basic band on like a resistance thing, and it was like pulling your hand.
As if a dog or something is yanking, or you're holding onto a dog or something.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
No, I didn't know that shit.
Yeah, it's all good.
Sorry if I was talking.
No, it's perfect.
We were just trying to establish mastery, making sure that the listeners know, like, this guy is a certified bad
Mama Jamma.
Bad Mama Jamma.
Yeah.
It's a children's show.
Yeah. Children's show.
Family shows.
Are you showing any more? Because I have some questions.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so what is your feedback that you have when people see these type of videos and you come to the masjid and you're encouraging people? So people have let me just backtrack a little bit. When you say someone should learn how to use guns, in the mind of people, the beginning and the end is going to a shooting range and shooting a gun and then holstering it and then going probably in a week or 2 weeks or maybe a month later. And that's where it begins. That's kind of the level where it should end. And that's what people think learning how to use a gun is, right? So when people see this type of stuff, or when you encourage them to go this type of stuff, the general public, what's happening?
Well, that's pretty. I mean, those are major matches. Like, so, I don't expect everybody to do that. Like, that's something that you really have to love the sport to do. But I didn't really get into the sport because I wanted to I want to be like the number one shooter in the country or anything. I mean, it'd be cool if I got to do that, but and I've been able to compete against the best in the country, and I've learned that I have a long way to go. But the thing is that what I find is that doing this, it kind of, for me, it motivates me to try harder and get better and get better. Because one thing we always stress at Qawwam Tactical is ihsan in whatever we do. So in this case, we're not trying to just do the minimum, whereas go to the range, pop off a couple of rounds, and okay, if I hit the target, I hit the target. If I don't hit the target, I don't hit the target. And a lot of people, that's all they do. And they box up their gun and they go home. Yeah. But it's like if you go to the gym with no plan, if you don't I just do a little bit of a exercise here, with a bicep, and then the next thing you see is me do 2 reps on a squat machine, and then you see me, on some other machine. Like, what did I actually do? Not really much. So you actually got to go there with a plan. What am I trying to work on today? Am I trying to work on my trigger? Am I trying to work on my grip, on picking up sights, target acquisition, things like that. So that's what we teach, is that, hey, we're teaching people how to train themselves and to get better. And
just, as far as Facebook video is concerned, do you have anything more like recently updated, like from 2024, 2025, anything like that? Because I'd love to show something like that too. I mean, but I'm just saying, if you do, that's...
Oh, sorry.
No. Your type of jam, bro.
You're a rock and roll guy.
I haven't updated videos in a long time. I'm actually surprised you guys were able to find those, because I took a lot of stuff down from the internet ever since Illinois passed its assault weapons ban. So to not get too much attention on myself, like a lot of competitive shooters kind of took stuff down. Got it. And because of that, the sport's actually faltering right now, where a lot of matches are not able to continue. So that match you saw me shooting there doesn't exist anymore. You can't go to that one. The only match there's only one club near here that actually still holds matches. So that I can think of. So it's the sport still has to grow more, or has to regrow in Illinois, just due to the assault weapons ban.
Are you thinking about also providing security services to mosques? Because I know there's a lot of mosques that are buying a lot of or outsourcing a lot of security. Pretty much every mosque now, worth the salt. It has a security guard outside
Yeah.
who's armed and everything.
This is an honest question. He doesn't. I think a lot of people don't know fully what you're fully involved in.
Yeah, that's another aspect of what we're involved in too. So one of the motivational factors that had me start Qawwam Tactical was masjid security. Not to we're not there yet where we're going to be providing armed
But
guards.
you've voluntarily worked in masjids as security in Ramadan and stuff, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with various security teams from different masajid. One thing that we do is we provide audit services. So we'll go in, we'll audit your security. So we'll look at your building, we'll walk through, we'll do a full audit of, hey, what are your ingress egress places? How do we harden this building?
And can you explain that? What is ingress egress?
Well, where could I kind of sneak into the building from? Where if an emergency happened, where would people exit from? Not just from a security active shooter perspective, but also fire or some other kind of natural disaster.
Cool.
So
that's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. My kind of advice is much more simple to a mosque. I would say maybe rename your mosque to Masjid al-Jesus Christ, Masjid al-Isa ibn Maryam, That would confuse people.
Yeah.
That would confuse an active, someone who wants harm on a mosque.
Yeah.
It's...
They'll probably get more mad. How are these brownies stealing our names?
Of Jesus, son of Mary? Probably not the target that I want.
Basically, you should be in a renaming game. You should rename. Forget about Qawwam Tactical.
We're in the marketing business now.
But the reason I was asking about shooting at ranges, I'm pretty sure people who are, working in masjid security, they should have more experience than just going to the range and shooting, right? Because stressful situations are very, very different. Your heart's pounding.
I agree, and unfortunately, there's some massages that do it really, really well. And there's some massages that just fully outsource it. Hey, we're not going to have any volunteer security team. It's all outsourced to armed security guards. And some states will require that. So in Illinois, if you are being paid for doing armed security, then you have to be licensed.
I see.
Even if you're a police officer, you have to be licensed. So we don't do armed security yet. We'll see what happens in the future. But
you do it voluntarily.
But
you can.
Yeah, you can do it voluntarily. And so going back to that, it's one thing that kind of caught my attention was when I was first looking at these volunteer security teams. A lot of times it was just, hey, who wants to be part of the security team? Oh, you have a CCL permit? Okay, well, yeah, you can join the security team. Oh, you have a CCL permit? When was the last time you went to the range? Oh, you can't remember? It's okay. Just come and join our security team. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's scary to think about that because there's so many things to consider when we're thinking about masjid security.
Yeah.
Not just from a perspective of, hey, what do you carry a gun or not? But let's say something must have happened. Let's say somebody got shot or stabbed or whatever. Can you do medical? Do you know how to put a tourniquet on? Do you know how to stop a bleeding chest wound?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do you have proper radios that people can communicate? Do people know what's going to happen? How to work with EMS services and bring them in when they need to. So, these situations can escalate from 0 to 100 so fast that your security team needs to be trained, needs to be ready to take that on.
That's so crazy. It's like those memes, where that woman sleeping on one side of the bed. He's probably thinking about other women, and there's Hussain Rehman here who's thinking about mosque security.
You're thinking about guns. Oh, you guys haven't even picked. I was on a WhatsApp group with him and a bunch of other guys that are they nerd out about guns and models of guns.
Yeah.
These guys even types of bullets and stuff. We haven't even picked his brain yet. These guys are really good.
Yeah. So let's just say, let's take the entry level. The casual. Let's help him out first. Well, what kind of handgun should he wants to learn? How to use a gun? Well, he's probably. Let's just say he's fired a gun a few times.
Let's say I have a FOID card. I've been to the range about 2 or 3 times.
He's got the license.
I got the license, and I prefer something light, and I prefer something that doesn't have too much recoil, but I want something that has good stopping power, right? And someone will say don't have a 22 because
357 Magnum.
So honestly, like, what would you say? Like, do you look at someone's hand size? Do you look at their build? What do you do?
I don't recommend
Testosterone levels.
Hey, there's some women out there who can shoot with the best of them. So
yeah, I bet.
But I'll say this, that I don't recommend any model to any specific person. I always say, hey, go to the range. Find a range that will rent you different models of guns and see what works for you best. Because you got to be able to, when you hold it, you got to be able to feel, okay, I can grip this properly. I can manage the recoil. I can pull that trigger straight back. So everybody's going to be different. What works for you may not work for me that well. So some people swear by Glock. Some people like SIGs.
And based on, I know you brought in a bucket of prop type guns and stuff. Do you think you could take one of those out and just show us what you're referring to? Like,
yeah.
Because I know that the size of the barrel matters, and like how thick the gun. I know Glocks are built.
Matters, yeah.
So this is something that we use in our classes. This is not a real gun. It's a replica of a Glock 19. So it actually fires like.
Can you just move that bottle of water out of the way if you don't mind?
Sorry.
There's a camera on his gun. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so this actually fires BBs, but like as you can see, it has an orange tip to the barrel. This is not a real firearm.
Oh, we should have bought a real one.
But this will work just like a real firearm. So if you pull that trigger, like it will recoil everything.
Oh, so this is what you give your students and stuff as your
Oh,
people, but it shoots BBs though.
But it will it's a BB gun essentially. Like, you can use it as a BB gun. Like so, I mean, if you guys want, like I'll. So I mean, you can even have mags for it that have compressed air inside. So.
So they have CO2 cartridges in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the cartridge. Oh,
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's Got it. Cool. I thought that was like, when we were kids, they had those little plunger things, those little sticky things that pop out. That orange thing, reminded me
umbrella thing,
that little balloon, that little sticky long. What's that called, bro? It's like a plunger. It pops out of the gun.
Oh, the dart gun.
The dart gun. Yeah, it's like
it sticks to the windows. Anyways, bro.
I mean, if you go to my mom's house, like, because back in the day, when you went to Walmart, you could buy like AR-15 replica BB gun.
Yeah, remember that.
And so I remember when we were kids.
Back when men were men.
Sure. And like there's still pockmarks in my mom's basement, from the wall from us just setting up dominoes and shooting them.
Yeah.
So that's what a Glock. You said what, a 16?
It's a Glock 19.
Glock 19.
Yeah. So here I'll pull it. So when you pull that trigger back.
Oh.
Yeah, there's no BBs in there.
That wasn't me screaming. That was you, Chef.
Speaking of testosterone, so that is kind of, this is what. Would this be considered a bigger size for a first time user, somebody who wants to conceal carry? Is this a good size for conceal and carry?
So it can depend. Like, for some people, it works fine for concealed carry.
Yeah, this is
some people it might be a little bit big for concealed carry.
Just a comparison. My cell phone is a Galaxy S24, so you can see the size of the barrel is about the same thing. So people they swear by that. What is that? 365X or something? What is that?
The P365.
Yeah,
from 6 Hour.
Yeah. 6 Hour. That's what it was.
Yeah. So that's a good gun too. It's
a little smaller than that, right?
It's So that one's considered subcompact. So basically, it will work to like it's just a much thinner gun. So I find it difficult to fire because like it's trying to hold that trigger and pull it straight back can be difficult. So
what's your favorite gun? Well, handgun.
It's so I like when it just depends on the use case. So for me, like for competition,
no, you get one gun. You're on an island all alone, and you have to pick your gun. I can't just
do one. It's like choosing a child.
No, there's only one gun that you are allowed on that island. And you have the natives that are against you on that island.
Then I want an AR-15.
No. We're talking about handguns.
He's going to make this very difficult for you. Only a handgun.
It's
reliability. What do you go for? Stopping power, reliability.
Most modern firearms are going to be just as reliable when it comes to like that. So that's not an issue. I think for me, like a SIG P226.
SIG PT
226.
226.
Yeah, that's a good firearm. I mean, that's not a one for I wouldn't use that for CCL.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might, but for me, it's
why? Because bigger.
It's a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's not. But I also have always carried from the beginning Smith & Wesson firearms. I carry either like a Shield or a Shield Plus, because now even though the guns are really small, they can double stack the magazines, so you can have like 13+1 rounds.
I want this gun. This gun's pretty bad. Yeah, this looks pretty cool. Let me show it. Yeah, that looks.
Which one are you referring to?
These are all SIGs. They're different variations.
Yeah. So the most modern SIG P226 line is really, really nice. They have steel frame ones, so they're heavier, and that way, like when you fire it, the recoil is much lighter, just because there's much more weight behind it. So it mitigates that. That force has more area or weight for it to be dissipated out.
So I know for reliability and just like strength and durability, when I was growing up, I remember they used to have these commercials or ads once in a while of the Glocks being run over by like a tractor or something. Is that still the case with Glocks? Like people get it because of the durability and
yeah, I mean, Glock's known for its reliability, for the durability. I mean, they do that with all kinds of guns nowadays, where they'll throw them out of pickup trucks. They'll tie like a rope around the gun and then their truck, and they'll just drive around their ranch with the gun just behind it. So there's all kinds of guns that will pass those tests. I mean, you can find all kinds of YouTube videos with all kinds of people doing them. Another gun that's kind of taken over the market, like the Turks are really good at making small arms.
Yeah, I heard that the Turks are like taking over the market.
What is it called?
The Turks have one company is called a lot of people in America call it Qawwam, but the original pronunciation in Turkish is called Janik.
Janik.
Yeah.
I thought it was Sanik.
Yeah.
So it's a C, right?
Canik, yeah. So when I first started shooting competition for many, many years, I actually shot a TP9 SFX.
I've heard people say that before. What makes Turks make such good handguns?
I don't know. I mean, they copied a lot of the models from Europe. So a lot of the Qawwams, the original models were copies of the Walthers, or Walthers, the Germans. They just copied them and made them cheaper. So
really? Okay, well, this SIG P226 that you said is a bit expensive. It's $1,200 for a used one. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they can.
And do you suggest getting a used gun for somebody, or do you think
it's it depends?
So what's the Turk version of this? I want the Temu version. Is that the Temu version?
Temu version.
You can look at the the Qawwam TP9. I don't know their compact model numbers, but they're if you just look at the Qawwam, just type in Qawwam compact or subcompact, and they'll come up.
Okay.
But it'll be like TP9 something, and. So with Qawwams, their version of the Glock 19, I think it's called the Qawwam.
Wait, can you spell that?
CANIK.
CA.
And then TP9, and then they have the Elite Combat, which is a really, really great gun. Out of the box trigger is really, really nice. But the one thing that you also have to consider when buying a gun is you don't want to buy something that's like super. If you're just gonna have one. Like you don't want to have something that's super just really nobody knows anything about, because you got to find holsters for it, you got to find magazines for it. So that's the Elite Combat Executive.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice gun.
$765. That's not bad.
Yeah, a little cheaper.
I got the Temu discount on it. Very nice. I wonder if there's going to be any tariffs.
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 Yeah.
Are there going to be any tariffs on Turkish imports?
Probably. I don't know. I mean, I've heard he's really good friends with Erdogan.
Yeah.
So that's for handguns. What about for like rifles? I mean, people like handguns because it's supposed to be, obviously you can carry a lot easier to conceal, less of a headache. You don't have to carry around the huge hunk of metal and wood. But as far as rifles, what would you suggest for a beginner if somebody wants to get a rifle?
I mean, it's like you can so when we're talking about rifles in America, like the most common one's going to be your AR pattern rifle. But it all comes down to use case. Like, what do you plan on using this for? Is it home defense?
Let's say home defense. Home defense.
So, that's going to be most of the time with an AR for home defense. People, now just keep this in mind that in Illinois, currently, you can't get one just due to the assault weapons ban that they have in place. But
so let's talk about outside of Illinois or whatever states allow it.
Sure.
An AR would be good home defense.
Yeah, I mean, like something that's either 4.5, like the barrel has to be 4.5 inches, or the total has to be 16. But if you are in a state where you can get an SBR, like a short barrel rifle, or get an AR pistol, then that's what would be my my go-to.
So for home defense, there's always that thing, and Bill Burr has a funny bit on this about like shotguns or like handguns for home defense, right? What's your take on like if someone had to choose just one for home defense, either a shotgun or a handgun, what would you say?
I'd go with the rifle.
Rifle?
Well, yeah, just because.
When you say rifle, you mean shotgun?
No, I mean like an AR.
No. Let's say that you're in Illinois though, and you can't have an AR.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd go with a handgun just because with a shotgun, like number one, it's going to be longer. It's going to be within an enclosed space. It's going to be harder to fight.
I see.
So I would rather have a handgun. A lot of people are like, oh, you can't miss with a shotgun. I've shot enough shotguns. You can miss. So
what if people do use a shotgun for home defense? What type of bullets do they use in the shotgun? Do they use like a buckshot? Do they use a bird shot? What do they?
So when it comes to shotguns, you can use it for home defense. So they have a double-aught buck, which is a buckshot. So they're like almost like balls of lead,
like big BBs.
Yeah, but they'll have like 9 of them in like one shell, and then when you fire them, they just pattern out. So it's like firing like 9mm bullets at a time.
Oh snap!
So
with the same velocity and speed as a handgun would with a 9mm?
I mean, maybe a little bit more, right? It just depends.
But the accuracy goes away over.
So, but distance. The cool thing is you don't have to be as accurate because you shoot in one spot, it'll have a spread, right?
Yeah, but you have to consider like what are your living conditions? Like, do you have a lot of space around your house? Because it's going to go right through the drywall, right? So
if somebody's in the other room, it can obviously potentially just injure them really bad or kill them too if it goes through the drywall.
Kill them, yeah, because
drywall's thin.
Yeah. I mean, like it'll go right through the drywall.
But there's multiple layers, right? There's drywall and
we've tested this out on the range. Really? Like, it will go right through that drywall. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, like even like an AR round will keyhole, so like it'll hit the drywall, it'll turn. So because depending on the angle, so like the round will start tumbling within the air as it's going.
Oh wow!
So you got to be really careful the direction that you shoot it too.
Yeah, so that's why
challenging.
There's 4 rules of gun safety. Are you a gun owner?
No.
Okay. Sad. It's okay to say no.
No, I
it doesn't mean you have low testosterone. It means you're safe too.
No. Listen.
I don't know either.
I just like to be very safe.
That's true.
I have nieces and nephews that are running around and stuff like that. I just want to make sure when I do get it, I'm going to have a nice safe and everything.
You don't have anything to worry about. Because I know that the gun violence numbers that are actually reported, a big portion of those are gun violence where it happens with the homes of like misuse of guns.
I'm just so paranoid because something...
No, you have a right to be paranoid, bro. You have to really, really have a different type of thick skin.
But I go firing a lot though. At the range
I get
it.
Yeah, I'm
I
really
love
worried
guns
to have
in
a gun
that sense
in my
where
house.
I like going there. I remember the first time I put a gun in my son's hand at the range. And the terror, my heart was just floating. He's holding a loaded gun, and the kid, he literally just goes up like this. He's just like, look, what are you doing? What? Never point a gun to, like, why would you do that? Because he's like, oh, like he doesn't have his hands on anywhere near the trigger. But I'm like, you could blow your head off.
How old is he?
He's 13.
Yeah, that's really scary.
Yeah. So that in itself, just a second of him, just like, oh, And he didn't even come all the way towards this.
I know what you mean.
But your soul is just like hanging in your throat because you're like, man, this thing can take away your life.
Yeah.
Just end it.
Yeah, and not in a simple fashion.
So
it can be really gruesome.
That's the respect I have for the weapon.
Yeah,
That's why I'm so scared to actually have it in the home.
Yeah.
You know?
No, gun safety is
it's
like, if I could keep it at Sayed's house right here, you know, I can just say, hey, I'm coming to pick up my weapon.
Yeah.
I think
that's the other issue that I have too. I mean, like, I always wanted to maneuver about that, and you can talk about that. Is like, if you keep it in a safe and it's really, really secure, and you live in an area where, you know, it's somewhat of a decent chance, at least once in your lifetime, you're going to be broken into. How do you be efficient with time and get that gun ready to go? I mean, the only other way is just actually having it close to you, and just having it in a safe tucked away somewhere far away is not probably very smart either.
So they have quick open safes.
Mm-hmm.
So like basically they have safes where I just put my hand on it and it opens. Like the gun is positioned in the safe.
It's reading your fingerprints.
Either fingerprints, code, or different. There's all
your
different
color
kinds.
Code.
The code.
Oh, the code. Oh,
yeah.
I thought I could tell you're like it's like a racist thing. You can tell you're
brownie. You hear a voice.
Yeah, it's.
Sorry if you expected this to be a very serious conversation.
No, it's. That would be an interesting kind of safe.
So it just opens right up.
Yeah.
But you would have to have positioning. Like, do you think it's smart for somebody who's able to afford and know how to strategically place in their home safely? Do you think it's safe to have your guns all in one place? I
mean, it depends on how you plan on securing your home, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you have? Are you gonna have a bathroom gun? Like, it's.
That's a good question, because what if you're in your bathroom and somebody breaks in?
Yeah,
that's a darn good question. I just thought about that.
I was reading a story like not too long ago where somebody broke in. She was in the bathroom. She had a bathroom gun.
Wow,
bathroom gun.
That's awesome.
But in general, like, there's quick open safes where if for most, not every situation is going to be a quick draw kind of situation. It's you may have a second or two to grab your firearm, and that's kind of what most people will need. But those safes are designed so that they're not made to like stop a burglar, but they're made to stop like a child or somebody else from getting it quickly.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, so the reason I asked you if you had a gun was because I was going to ask you, like, when we're talking about this, like, what are the 4 rules of gun safety? Like, this is one of the first things that we go over in our classes.
Yeah.
So.
Is part of a gun safety like not allowing reverts to have weapons?
What the heck are you talking about? No, I thought you were going to ask for all 4. No, but I want to know all 4 of them. But
sometimes there's some Looney Tunes that join their faith, bro.
Hopefully Robert's not watching this, bro.
I'm just saying, Sheikh. Sometimes there's some. You don't want bad publicity towards for a new Muslim to join Qawwam Tactical, and.
There's a wrong person to say that. You know, he used to work for Gain Peace, bro. The people that bring in non-Muslims and house them and like give them material and work with them with new Muslim classes. But we know you're being humorous. But
well, what about women though? Should they handle firearms?
I mean,
seriously, isn't that kind of going against Qawwam? Being a Qawwam. How do you as a woman be a Qawwam?
A woman could be a Qawwam, just not at the same level, but yeah. But yeah, go ahead. No, but I don't know. Is that a serious question? You think women should handle guns?
No. I mean, but seriously, like, would you? Do you have any kids, daughters, and would you treat your daughter?
Yeah, I have sons, and like, I mean, I bought him a 22 rifle for Eve.
Yeah.
When he was 4. So, like, but I mean, that was just because he comes to the range with me. Or the first time he ever came to the range with me, we were outside. I was shooting my shotgun, and he was just so like enamored. He's like, I want to shoot that, and I was like, no, let me shoot the 22. He's like, no, I want to shoot the 12 gauge. So like I shouldered it for him and let him pull the trigger on it. But I still remember him like sitting behind me as we were at a 600-yard range, and he was sitting behind me and a bunch of other guys, and every time one of our rifles would go off, he'd be like, yeah! So, he had a lot of fun. So I just made sure, that, like, my wife kept him behind the firing line, and, I mean, he had a good time. So it sits in our safe, and, when we go to the range with him, he gets to play with it.
Yeah. No, I know sisters that conceal and carry, too, bro. Yeah.
No, it's good because right now, with the current climate and everything, I think there's value in at least, anyone who has hands, I guess, learns how to shoot and is legally able to shoot, right? You never know what kind of situation you're in. You never know when the world's economies collapse and we turn into, the Walking Dead type scenario, end of the world, and we're only the fit survive.
Yeah. I sent you that clip. I don't know if you want to play it, because I actually don't know how much cussing is in it. It's kind of humorous, but I actually had some of those questions. The 4 rules of gun safety, can you just kind of brush upon those, or some of them? I mean, just really quickly, because I think it's really good for us to know, even for me. I actually don't
identify your target first.
Well, it's part of it, but it's you treat every firearm like it's loaded, right? So every single time I pick up a gun, even if I've watched somebody safety check it, I will safety check it myself. Make sure it's clear. Second of all is, you never point it at anything you're not willing to kill or destroy. So, whether it be an animal or thing or whatever, I'm not pointing it at anything else. A finger off the trigger until you are on target and ready to fire. And then know what's behind your target and around it. So, because the rounds that you fire can easily, go past that target, and you got to know what's behind it. Is there a proper backer to catch that round, or what's around it? So.
That's so important. Like even you see people at the gun range. I went to that one on North Avenue, the Range USA one, and I just saw people checking out the guns. I remember they're not putting your finger on the triggers. My brother told me that too. And I just remember, even though they're not loaded or anything, you see people, they're just like playing with the gun. Even when they pick it up, they're like, they still have their finger on the trigger like as soon as they pick it up. It's not like by default they hold on to it and not put their finger on the trigger. So I can understand how like people accidentally shoot other people or shoot things because it's a loaded gun and they're just handling it and just touch the trigger or something happens,
Yeah, I mean every like firearm accident people have, one of those rules is being broken, one or more. So, as long as those rules are being followed, then, even if the gun was to go off, it's going to go off like, in a direction that is safe.
So if I'm handling a gun, and even if it's not loaded, but there's people all around me, obviously for teaching and just good habit, where should I be pointing the gun if I'm trying to take a look at it? Because it's going to be pointing somewhere, right?
Well, I don't handle firearms in the classroom. That's why I have replicas, just out of habit.
That's awesome.
I don't feel comfortable handling, even if it's a clear gun. I don't want to be, because it allows because mistakes happen. People are human, and if a round gets in it, like there's a story where a gun owner, like a gun store, the owner of the gun store, picked up a gun from the counter, like one of their display models, and those are never loaded, right? And he was known as this like crazy prankster. Picked it up and pointed it at one of his employees, pulled the trigger. Somehow, some way, there was a round in the chambered, and he shot his employee in the face.
Jeez.
So you can never assume that a gun's not loaded. There's a very famous video online. It's like of a police officer. This guy, he's like in a classroom full of kids, and he's like, I am the only one who's trained enough or certified enough to handle guns around here, and he shoots himself in the foot.
I remember that. I saw that. That video went viral for a while. I remember that in the early 2000s.
And who can forget old Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, he had a prop gun that was loaded. I mean, there's supposed to be blanks in that, right?
Yeah.
And I guess they manually make those bullets blanks. Is that how it works?
Well, they're blanks. They're actual blanks. But
but even blanks can harm you if you're up close to a blank. Blank, it'll actually harm you, right?
I mean, it could.
I mean, was a bullet that
eardrums or whatever? But the problem is that they have armorers that work on those sets, so the armorer kind of messed up somehow, and she got real bullets into the gun. So,
dang, that's crazy.
How do you mix that up? I thought you would only buy a box of blanks. How do you accidentally mix in real bullets? Isn't that?
Well, I think she's in jail right now. So.
Wow. No, I remember a dude. I remember this guy back in the day. I'm gonna try to be as
Remember Bruce Lee's son? Someone in the chat just reminded him. Brandon Lee, man.
Brandon Lee,
in the set of The Crow, the movie The Crow. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah.
I had a big The Crow poster
in my bedroom.
My
late 90s. I remember.
Mom
that.
would be so scared of me.
Yeah, I remember.
She was like, "This guy's worshiping Satan."
I remember that. I remember the late 90s. So I actually knew a guy. This is 100% real. he was really safe about guns. He cleared the chamber, and he put it on his leg like this while he's talking to someone. You know, college kids, bro, but he legally owned a gun. And he put it on his leg like this, and then he happened to be in a building. I'm not going to say what type of building it was. Happened to be a building where people generally on the bottom of that, you know, on that floor. And then he put it against his pillow on the bed, and he shot it, and there was actually a bullet in there, went down into the ground. And it's like, oh my God, let's go see if anybody's downstairs. No one was downstairs, alhamdulillah. Even though he cleared the chamber and everything, he thought it was totally cool. Somehow there was a bullet in there. Maybe he didn't clear it properly. Maybe he didn't go far enough, you know, to clear the chamber. You know,
what's the best place to fire a gun to check if the chamber is clear? Like,
that's not
because you don't want to look inside it, right? That's the worst place to do. You don't want to shoot it up because it can come down. You want maybe like at an angle like towards the sky, like the Afghan Mujahideen fighting in the sky.
Yeah,
at an angle.
How much of a danger is that? Though shooting a shell in the air and coming back down and hitting
people
somebody?
that die that way.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I find it to be a very jahil practice, honestly. Like it like, you know, when I see people do it at weddings overseas and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're shooting their Kalashnikovs off like hundreds and hundreds of bullets every minute.
I find it a very jahil practice because it's what you're saying is I don't care about, you know, the life of that's going to be affected by these rounds that they fall on, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so
save that ammo for imperialist invaders. We're not mentioning which countries.
Yeah,
we're just saying imperialists in general.
Yes.
Isn't there a hadith about being like very irresponsible with like a unsheathed sword or something like that?
Yeah, not pointing a sword at anybody, not pointing a bow and arrow at anybody, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you're like not going to do anything, you shouldn't. It's like it's wrong. You're not allowed to do that. The other question I had for you is. The durability, there's something that always boggled my mind. I should have researched it, but what makes the Kalashnikov so durable that people like? Just some guns that, you know, I don't know how that works, but like people are like, man, you go drag it through the mud, take all the pieces out, throw them in the trash, drag them through mud, and just wash it off and put the Kalashnikov together in like 20 seconds, and then it's gonna be working perfectly. Like, what's up with that?
Do you own one? No, don't answer. That's illegal. You don't want to hear.
Just he owns it doesn't mean it's in his possession anywhere.
It's not illegal if you bought it before the ban. But
oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So you own one.
Cannot confirm or deny.
You dog. Okay.
But like you know, the concept of, like so with AKs, it depends. Like the Russian or Eastern Bloc AKs that are made are really good quality. But like AKs that are American made are actually like known as like not as good quality. So it does depend on who made them, where they were made, their tolerances. Like there are some AKs that are not as good as other AR-15s, you know. So the problem, the kind of misconception that started as ARs are not as reliable was that when they were first invented and marketed by Armalite, they were marketed as, you don't have to oil this rifle. So, like, you know, there was GIs in Vietnam, when they first got their M16s, they were firing them, not oiling them, and they were just jamming up on them like crazy. So, you know, this is kind of what started this misconception that they're not as reliable. But, you know, as long as you take care of the rifles, they will take care of you. So
oiling is another thing. Thank you for bringing that up. So if you go to the range every weekend, every Saturday for about 2 hours, and you're shooting your handgun, let's just say it's Glock 19. How often should you be oiling it?
I mean, you don't have to oil it. Like, it depends. Like, if you're, the concept, like the whole process of cleaning my firearms is therapeutic to me and others, like when you're just cleaning in general. But you don't have to clean it every single time. It is a machine at the end of the day, as long as there's enough oil in there. Like there's times where I'll just be like, the rifle is really dirty. Okay, it's okay. I'll just put a couple more drops of oil in there, and you know,
it's that simple. Yeah.
You know, but you know, like you can field strip it and do a field clean real quick, you know, and then you're good to go. There's other times where like it's been a year since I took out the spring for the magazine catch, and you know, now the magazine's not dropping as well. Again, I fire my guns a lot more than the regular person just because of competition. But
got it. And I'm just asking this question for people to be responsible and not be irresponsible, because I don't know what that fine line is if you're using your gun pretty often and you're not cleaning or not.
Well, the biggest thing with that is lead. So, because when you fire guns, like you have a lot of lead particles, and sorry, I feel like I'm far from the mic. You have a lot of lead particles, and that can get on your hands, on your clothes, and if you fire enough and you have kids at home, you don't want to be going and not having washed your hands, change clothes out so that you're not getting lead into your food and into your kids, things like that. So something to consider.
Can the chef use his beard oil for oiling the chamber? No, is there special oil though?
Yeah, they sell all kinds. I mean, there's all kinds of like companies that make gun oil. There's also people that swear by just using motor oil, like from car. That
makes a lot of sense, actually.
Because it's meant for metal. Exactly. It's metal on metal.
That's kind of black though, right?
That's the only one that's used as black. You get synthetic.
The synthetic ones.
Synthetics actually almost looks like apple juice.
Oh yeah, color. Yeah.
It's like apple juice-ish color.
Valvoline.
That commercial stuck in your head. Yeah.
Synthetic blend 90. Right?
Yeah. What are we doing? I don't know. It's like I'm going. So as far as Qawwam Tactical now, what's your initiative right now? What are you guys working on? Like, what?
So I'm trying to expand. So what we're doing is right now is we're doing. We've been doing concealed carry classes for about a year. Last year during the summertime we ran some more like performance pistol classes. If people go on our Instagram, they can see those.
So you certify people for concealed carry?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So we actually hold a monthly class at a shout out to Ikna Center. We hold it over there at the masjid.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Ikna Center.
Yeah.
Stepping up.
Wow.
Arming the Muslims.
Yeah, so we hold it there. Next class is April 19th, the weekend of April.
Is it open to the public, or is it kind of closed?
It's open to the public. Like, most of the people that sign up for my next class are actually non-Muslim. So,
really?
Yeah,
that's really cool.
That's a great dawah opportunity.
It is. That's what I was going to say.
Oh yeah,
You got them at the Ikna Center. There's all this.
He has dawah material in the class. That's legit.
Wow.
I'll certify you in concealed carry and shahada.
I mean. Wow,
okay, the last step to getting your license. Ashhadu.
Oh man, that's awesome. Tell them they're Muslim and that's it. They don't have a choice now.
But yeah, I mean, people get to hear the adhan. We also break for salah. So it's a good
So how big are these classes? How many people are in there? Sometimes?
Some like they can be as few as just a couple of folks, or as big as 15 to 20 people sometimes. So
nice.
It's just a classroom. So I don't like to have everybody packed in there.
Yeah.
One of the things, because I want space for people to move, because what we do is we do these virtual learnings where...
Do you have to bring your own gun to the class?
No guns are allowed in the classroom, but when we go to the range on the second day, then you can, if you have a gun, then you can bring it.
And if they don't, they just rent it from the
They
gun
can
range?
just rent it from us, yeah.
And you have to have a FOID card, or you have to have someone with you as a FOID card to rent it?
So you don't have to have a FOID card because you fall under my instructor license when I teach. But if you are applying for a CCL, you gotta already have a application, at least have an application for a FOID card in flight.
Okay.
I do recommend that people have their FOID card, and then get, a lot of people I think misunderstand and come to the CCL class thinking this is what they need to learn how to shoot a gun and and this is all they have to do. And to me, I'm like, this is the mandated training by the state of Illinois. This is, look, there's good stuff and information, like legal things that you have to know if you're going to be a responsible person who's carrying a gun in public. But, at the same time that, I add on that we can't just be the minimum. Like you have to be actually, proper. You got to be able to properly shoot your firearm and know how to work it if you're gonna carry a gun in public.
Do most states? Not all of our listeners are from Illinois, so do most states have similar concealed carry laws, or?
So there's laws for self-defense in general at the federal level that are applicable nationwide, and then there's laws specific to what kind of license you'll need or what kind of training is mandated.
Is there any state that doesn't require a license at all?
There's plenty. Yeah, there's
Texas?
So Texas is one of them. So they have something called constitutional carry. So basically, as long as you're not a felon, you can carry a gun in public.
Oh wow.
So yeah, there's no license required. I mean, for most of the United States, you can walk into a gun shop, show your driver's license as your ID, and buy a gun.
So Illinois is the Gestapo here. It's the exception.
Yep. Illinois, New York, California.
The blue states. That's why they lost the election. They're anti-freedom.
So, are you are you okay with kind of going through like a setup that you would, because the reason why is I don't want to, get into your privacy at all, but I've visited your home, mashallah, tabarakallah, and I know what his house is. I don't know if I should talk about details because that's a privacy thing and you don't want that to be out there. That's totally understandable, but I'm wondering if I could just talk about, I don't want you to feel pressure, but with the experience I had when I went into your house and your basement and all that cool stuff, or do you just want to keep that off?
That's fine. I mean, you don't have to go super into detail, but yeah, we could talk about it. So,
because he was talking about a prepper, he wants to talk about a prepping second half of this podcast.
Yeah.
Because you're a prepper, and that's pretty cool. But I knew what it meant to be in what do you call those? A fortress, basically. You got to visit his house, bro. Yeah. That's all I got to say. You go in there, and he's got a nice protective layer, mashallah, tabarakallah, bro.
He's the house you want to raid at the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, you ain't getting in, bro. Like, if he gets in some areas of his mashallah, you're gonna get in.
Oh, yeah?
No matter what you got. But it's very well equipped. Like, have you ever remember in Terminator when Arnold Terminator 2 he pulls that a layer off the ground, he goes in this underground thing, is all these nice ornaments of firearms on the walls. Yeah. It's beautiful. That's awesome. It's probably not at that level, because that's all Hollywoodized and stuff. But it's everything you're gonna need. You and your family are gonna need. Oh yeah. Wow. Plus a few other people. But yeah, I saw that, and then I was actually really inspired after that. It's like you have to have those visits with people sometimes. Like, man, what the hell am I doing with my life? In that aspect,
Did you guys hear about this whole thing with Epic City? For people who don't know, Epic City is this new initiative that was started by a group of Dallas area Muslims who want to create a community of Muslim residential.
Yeah, and non-Muslims are welcome to live there too. Yeah,
and non-Muslims are welcome to live there too, and it's not like they're operating outside the jurisdiction of the American or the U.S. Constitution or the law, but some people got wind of it on Twitter after some people announced it. It's like the worst place to announce any kind of Muslim initiative. Twitter's not the place.
That's true.
Please note that.
Very important.
Epic City or any future cities that are trying to announce themselves to the world, don't announce it on Twitter. Yeah. It's just going to go the wrong way. The wrong people are going to get wind of it, and they're going to make it into something that it's not. They're going to make it sound like there's a Sharia takeover. But anyway, so there's all this controversy that was started by people who obviously hate Muslims and don't want anything good for Muslims to happen in their state. And they petitioned the Governor Abbott, to investigate it and pass laws against it or something, but or to stop it from happening. And it just right now it just goes to show that these politicians are just kind of playing to or pandering to a lot of these really extremists in their party base, and trying to delegitimize anything that is even constitutional just because it'll get them votes,
With Epic City, what makes it unique? Is it just sucked that there's a lot of Muslims, or?
I think they have a whole lot of land that they had purchased, and they're selling off lots.
So is it like a commune?
I don't think
it's like a gated community type thing. I think it's like, how many acres, man? I think it's like 600 acres or something like that. They have a thing. They have a video of it online, and they have like masjids there. They have I think one main masjid there. They have housing. It's supposed to be for like Muslims to move in and build like a big Muslim community.
So they have a mosque called Epic Mosque too.
Right. That I'm familiar.
So the poor people at the Epic Mosque, they're getting death threats. They're like, we're not part of this initiative. Like, we are just Epic Mosque. That's not us.
I thought the Epic Mosque was pretty cool. I mean, their Ramadan security team was was so much bigger than what we have here.
Oh, that's Texas too, though, right?
Yeah, like they had even the sister security guards that were there. Like this niqabi, she had like a big gun, like open carrying.
Oh wow!
Whoa.
You know, I was at the border of Texas with Mexico. What's that city called? Starts with an M. Anyway, this city has a guard tower in its Walmart parking lot. A police station guard tower, just right in the middle of the parking lot. You see guys with guns sitting in this guard tower. You're like, is this the United States? They have like checkpoints every like few miles where they check for your, papers, I guess, or whether you're harboring or you're smuggling in illegal immigrants. It's a whole nother world down there. Everyone is just like looking out for illegal immigrants. It's so crazy.
What a crazy environment to build, bro.
McAllen is the place.
McAllen.
Yeah, McAllen.
There's probably this environment of like this underbelly of like fear of like, so there's two types of people, right? That are going to be those that are suspicious and those that feel that people are being suspicious of them, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy to have that type of environment,
I think,
right?
Here's a picture of it.
McAllen.
Yeah, it's too much of this like fear mongering. It's what it is. It's. I mean, on one hand, it's a way to kind of like control people and be like, hey, this is what you got to be afraid of.
Yeah, like these.
But at the same time, it's.
Where to go? Here it is. Kind of like this.
Dang.
Oh, okay.
But they have these things kind of just propped up in the middle.
Portable watch
guard
towers or whatever. Yeah.
It's wild.
Interesting. Yeah.
Wow. So as far as prepping, I'm pretty sure this goes hand in hand. At what level? Because he gets excited. I'm starting to get at that level too now.
Yeah,
I just don't believe in zombies, or a zombie apocalypse. But prepping, as far as
it's. I mean, I've heard on one of the episodes. I remember you were talking about like bags of rice and stuff, and
and food and different. Yeah.
I mean, that's one aspect of it. Like how long are you gonna, how much food do you need? Like you gotta kind of calculate that out. Like what number one is, what is your strategy? Like one of the things is, what is strategy? Are you gonna hunker down? Are you gonna go somewhere? Are you gonna, like, if you have extended family, like where are people gonna meet up? Like what is a meet point? Right? Like how are people gonna get in contact with one another? So one of the biggest things is not just food, but communication. Like you got to have radios. You got to understand how radios work. Like you got to understand how to program a radio. And that's why like I recommend people get at least somebody like if you have a family, somebody who has interest, get a ham radio license.
Yeah.
And
let's start off with something simple though. Let's just start off with like food.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What's the most reliable? In my mind, it was like rice and lentils.
Yeah.
Rice and lentils, so. You just store, and how do you store it too? Because there's, you got to store it in airtight containers, right?
Airtight containers, got to be dry. Yeah. You got to make sure there's no pests in that area. No rats are going to get into it, or mice are going to get into it.
How do you make sure that doesn't happen?
I mean, I like to get like those like seal like boxes that are sealed. And then that way like you can
like plastic, metal, like what?
Yeah, plastic or metal doesn't really matter. But the point is that you want the food to be airtight, but then you want to have it inside of a container that no pest is going to easily get into.
So should you, obviously, as time goes on, maybe a year goes by, you still have this food sitting in your container. Should you start cycling out new food into that box and start using the food that's in this in your prepper cache?
Yeah, I mean, I think So what I did was I hate cooking. So like what I did was I used like, are you familiar with what an MRE is? So it's called a meal ready to eat.
I saw the Costco. They have like 168 meals or something in there.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, they taste terrible, but they were made for initially they were made for the military.
Yeah.
So the ones that you can rip open the package, put in a bottle of water, and it heats it up using some chemical reaction, and basically you just have a steaming bag of pasta or steaming bag of rice or steaming bag of whatever that it is, and now you can just, and it's X amount of calories and it was made for military service members that are out in the field to have something quick and easy to have ready to eat right there and then.
And so how many years do those last?
They can last for really, really long. I mean, they have ones.
10 to something
they have
years
ones that are like decades old. That are
there's some YouTube channels that are actually like unpacking, opening up like World War II era MREs, and then they're like eating it.
They're actually eating it.
Yeah. You can do that.
I would never do that
because they're fully preserved. And I mean, there's halal MREs. Like they make halal MREs.
Oh wow.
So you can buy them because the UN uses them for when they provide like
that makes sense.
when they provide food for like drought countries and stuff like that.
The muzzies for the Muslims.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So they have halal MREs to ready because where I got that idea was that match you saw when I was in Missouri.
Yeah.
I remember actually a funny story. So I was it was my first time ever in Lake of the Ozarks, and I had no idea like where it was anything, right? And the guy I was staying at, nicest guy ever, and I was staying at his ranch at a bunkhouse, and I was like, hey, like what are there any like restaurants nearby? He goes, no, there's no town nearby.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like I was like, all right, cool. So like I stopped at I think some like I was driving by, I stopped at a gas station or whatever for food at that point. But just funny story about that guy though, because he was a nice guy. And then like a couple of years later, I see him go live on Facebook. The date was January 6th, and he was at the Capitol.
Oh no! Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So have you ever been to the Ozarks?
Yeah, I've been to the Ozarks.
I heard it's depressing, bro.
My ex-wife used to be
it's
on
beautiful
there.
over there, man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's the Ozarks. For those who don't know, they're these small mountains that are kind of like similar to what you see in Saudi Arabia, like smaller, but they're covered with like foliage and stuff and forest, and they were created tens of thousands of years ago from volcanoes that were in the United States, maybe millions of years ago. And they kind of just formed in these little mountains all over by Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma. Is it Oklahoma? No, not Oklahoma. But Missouri, Arkansas area. And that whole area is like filled with these mountains, and they have all kinds of lakes around them and tourist getaways, and the Lake of the Ozarks where he was shooting at.
It's a big fishing spot.
Yeah, it's
a lot
great.
Of people do fishing
The show Ozark was based out over there. Did you ever watch that? Yeah, it's a great show. But this is an example of an MRE that he's talking about. It's actually on Amazon, a halal MRE. Sheikh, you love lamb, right?
Yeah, I love lamb.
They got one in stock for you. It says one left in stock on the right.
How much that package? How much is that?
That one's what?
It says 1,250 calories.
No, what I'm saying is how many people does that feed? That's just for one person.
I mean, obviously, one person. That's one day.
So you can buy them in bulk, like buy like 100 at a time, and that's kind of like what I did. Just bought like a bunch of boxes, like little by little, and then just like pack, and then that way I just have stored food.
Oh, so you don't have to worry about all the other stuff perishing.
Because I'm super lazy with that way. So like that's how
you're saying.
That's how I did it.
Got it.
Yeah. But with me, I was like, okay, like this takes care of the food part. Now, like comes like.
So, how much should someone, just in case, how many weeks or months or years potentially?
I did 1 year.
That's cool.
Yeah, 1 year.
That's cool. Okay, and I got really interested until we changed the subject about the radio. I didn't know that you have to get a license on a hand radio. Can you just walk through that a little bit, like?
Yeah. So basically, you have to get a license to be able to use those radios because you can then listen into police chatter And you can
scanner, so it's like a scanner.
Yeah, so the scanner will just pick that chatter up so you can listen to it. But like a radio, like if you buy like even like a cheap like $30 Biofang radio, you can listen to the police, and you can even get onto that channel and start to transmit. So you could potentially start to kind of fill up the police line and mess with their communications. So I mean, I'm assuming they have encryption on there now, but the potential is there. So that's why they want people to not just start using open lines of channels, and you have to properly get that license. Like our masjid had to actually pay to have a special channel allocated for them. So that way our security team and volunteer teams could use those radios.
So if let's say someone has 8 siblings, and they would each have a radio in their house, and they all would know what channel it is if they had to communicate. Is that what that is?
Yeah, like you would pre-program them, and then so that way everybody had them.
Okay.
Then they would know. So you can set up essentially a radio. Then you could have a repeater in one home. And essentially, that's going to give you a certain radius.
I see.
And that way, everybody knows. Okay, once I cross this line, or once I'm in this area, I can communicate out. And if somebody's farther away, they can. You can set up repeaters in people's homes, so that way, you can talk, or you can set up repeaters in masajid if we ever got to that kind of organization, and that way, you can have channels that are all talking to each other across the city.
I see. But if a solar flare were to hit the Earth, or come close enough to the Earth, it would knock all of those capabilities out, right?
Yeah.
Everything.
Solar flares would knock out any kind of electricity. The thing is, the funny thing about a solar flare is that, imagine it happening at night. You wake up in the morning, your car's not working, your phone's not working, and you have no access to knowing exactly what's going on. If you don't know what a solar flare does, you would think you wouldn't know what to think. Because everything's not anything that is utilizing electricity is pretty much not working.
God forbid it happens in the winter, bro.
My God! You got to use carrier pigeons.
Yeah.
So even a battery.
Send a raven.
So if you have a battery heater too, the batteries aren't going to work either, right?
Right. You could, I think, we'll get a generator to work, right?
Because of gasoline.
Because it's gasoline powered. So
there was something about solar flare and gasoline. Some reaction it would have that probably wouldn't let the generator work too, right? Even if it was gas powered, some of the circuits inside that I don't know.
Because even a generator, right? You would need a spark. And how are you going to generate the spark if your spark plugs are fried?
Yeah, this is the type of prepper I thought we were going to talk about today too.
So that we should talk solar flare is a unique situation.
But there's been close. I remember you're the one who told me about that. Yeah. Even 6-7 years ago, there was a solar flare that came really close to the Earth, but NASA didn't want to talk about it to cause.
Yeah, that was in the 1920s. That was during the days of the telegraph.
But I'm saying there was one that also came close.
Yeah.
Enough, I think, in in 2012, maybe 2000, in between 2012 and 2016. But they didn't want to talk about it, I guess, to cause too much panic. But what else other than food, radios, obviously, weapon safety, gun safety, all that good stuff.
Oh, so by the way, that was on May 10th, 2024. The sun emitted large solar flares leading to geomagnetic storms that affected various technologies. These storms disrupted high-frequency radio communications, causing power grid irregularities, degraded GPS accuracy. Notably, agricultural users on John Deere's GPS equipment experienced significant positional inaccuracies. So,
whoa,
that was the last one.
That was recent. I thought there was something in 2015, 2016 or something. But that being said, so food, communications, kind of cover that. Let's say somebody doesn't have a gun. What's the next best thing they can use for protecting themselves and their family?
I got a samurai sword right there.
Swords are always obviously for closer combat. That's awesome if you know how to use it, right? It's awesome. But what's the whole thing about crossbows and people?
Are you into archery?
Blowgun.
I mean, I'm not into it. I don't do it regularly, but I know how to shoot bows. I mean, we have at the place where I shoot at, we have about a 200-yard bow range. So, I think it's really useful for hunting because, especially like in a situation, for example, if you had to hunt for food and you have a limited amount of ammunition, well, a bow is a really good way to be able to hunt for food and not use that up. So
I'd probably be one of those guys with the reed. In the jungle, they have the reed with the dart.
The blowgun, dart gun.
That's such a.
Do those things actually work like properly?
That's such an effective weapon.
Does it actually work, or do you have to poison them to?
I think you have to have a poison tip dart.
Yeah, I wonder how deep those go into.
But just avoid confrontation. Just be in the background in the foliage.
I mean,
a sniper.
Get him. Take his supplies.
What about like slingshots and stuff? That's good for like small game, right?
I mean, like for hunting, I've not done small game. I mostly stick to larger game. But so like,
which kind of game? Like elk?
Yeah, like whitetail. So.
Where do you go?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Okay.
Yeah. So, but you have to be a little bit careful because nowadays there's like parasites or some kind of parasites that's going around.
Yeah.
The deer in the water.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Yeah,
they look all deformed. Some of the deer, right?
Yeah, they get really emaciated. So there's been only a few cases. They
look
say
like zombies.
They say that there's no way for it to pass, between the meat to the human being.
You don't want to be patient zero.
But yeah, and actually there were like one or two cases of that happening. So. Where somebody, where it did pass. So it's I try not to test it. But the
chronic wasting disease, I think it's called.
Yeah. Basically, it was a CWD. Yeah. So it's so
my God.
Yeah. So basically, just they just become really thirsty. They just walk around and they get what is it? They just all they do is just drink water and drink water. They won't eat.
Look at that.
Poor
deer.
Yeah, they just totally become emaciated. So, but that's something it came down from Canada, so we can blame them for it.
Yeah.
Blame Canada.
Canadians. Oh dear, look at this one.
So other than
but to answer your question, is that
look at that poor deer, chef.
I would just stick, for me, I just kind of stuck with guns and bows a little bit. I mean. And
I'm just the reason I asked this question is how many backups should people have and they know how to use just in case,
Yeah, you can only have so many, right? Like you can only have so many guns, you can only have so many bows. But at the end of the day, as long as you take care of it, you maintain them, they last a while.
So do you guys also teach like knife safety and knife fighting or knife protection?
So what we do teach is like how to protect oneself from like knife fighting. If we when we talk about this is more advanced tactics, like I think I showed you one time when you were over close quarters gunfighting and how moves from Muay Thai are kind of brought in and used to protect oneself when shooting up close. There's actually, if you go to the Qawwam Tactical Instagram and watch the video from our performance shooting class, you actually see guys doing that, practicing it with live fire. But the thing is that with knife fighting, knives up close are just as deadly as guns. If they hit the carotid artery or something like that, you'll bleed out in seconds. So knives are no joke. Those are very deadly weapons.
One of my friends is a just defense guy. He doesn't want any weapons. He's scared of weapons. He just wants to be protected by all kinds of bulletproof vests and stuff, and he just wants to run. So what's the best what kind of defensive protections should he
I mean, it's that's not realistic. I mean, I don't know what else.
He's gonna die is what you're saying. He's the first one to go.
You're not gonna be you can't live life wearing a plate carrier or something.
Instead of concealing carry, just always go out in bulletproof vests.
Yeah. He's just defense only.
It's. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's use cases for plate carriers, but if you're working in law enforcement or you're working as message security or something of that nature, or you are in a SHTF scenario and you're
what's the SHTF scenario?
It's Family Channel, but basically.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but essentially, so it's if something hits the fan, right? Like, so
if stuff hits the fan.
Yeah, stuff hits the fan. But essentially, like it's like if your family's all gotten together and you're pulling like guard or something like that, like plate carriers are useful and we actually there's a shooting competition called the Tactical Athlete Games, which I'm just starting to train for, but essentially it's like people will work out in plate carriers, so it's like CrossFit with plate carriers on with guns, so
in terms of the serious question though, like in terms of a mosque in an active shooter scenario, do you play out like situations that could happen, how someone in the congregation, let's just say you are in the congregation, how you would respond to something that's happening externally as you hear a commotion happening? What would you do? Where would you find a defensive position? Well, how do you suggest someone who, I mean, there's going to be people who just run for the nearest exit and do it. It's completely
it's going to be
fine.
99% of people.
Yeah. But let's just say you're the one who wants to, take on the task.
Yeah, it's mindset, right? Like number one is you gotta I don't recommend people go watch it, but if you have seen the videos from the New Zealand shooting, the Christchurch shooting, you see what a real active shooting scenario would look like, and you see that most people have no idea what they're gonna do, until that scenario happens. That's why we train. That's why we train. Like for those people who take, I recommend massage security, not just medical and radios and all that, but they train with firearms, not just going at a static range and sitting there and seeing how well they can put holes in a paper target, but actually training, at least some level of CQC training, like close quarters combat. How do I deal with that? What would I do if there was an active scenario? Does each person know their role, their job? If I'm alongside a person, like, do they know how to, like, there's concepts in team-based, like gunfighting, which is like, getting online and so that you don't shoot your teammate. I mean, there's, in militaries, there's people that die in training because they're not doing it properly. Because
that's what I was always afraid of, because it might be somebody that's concealing carrying, but they start shooting the wrong people.
Well, I just imagine, like, if I was head of security at my fictional mosque, Masjid of Jesus Christ. Let's just say at my mosque.
Full circle.
let's just say at my mosque in active sin. So what I would do, at least, I would have volunteers, learn how to operate weapons and stuff, who want to be plainclothes security, part of Qawwam Tactical, have the license to carry weapons, and they're committed to coming to every salah, right? Like, so like there's people in your congregation who are armed, even if there isn't any security around, like, because for example, mosques sometimes they can only afford security for Jummah prayer, right? They can't afford security for every salah during the day, every single day, right? So you may want to consider having a volunteer security force where they may just have experienced training or gone through some level of training through Qawwam Tactical, and you can at least have some level of security that, hey, there are some people in our congregation who are armed and they know how to respond to a scenario like this. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think
I'm onto something, aren't I?
Yeah, I mean, I think most massages are there. The only problem is that they're not willing to commit to the training. They just
want to buy it.
They either want to buy it or they just don't. Like, the problem is people don't care until it actually it affects them, or there's some really big thing that happened recently in the news. Yeah. Like after the Christchurch shooting in New Zealand, there's a
spike, right? Yeah.
There was every person who's arguing with me about guns stopped. Like after that, with masjid security, I've had masjid board members from multiple massages. Like I've put it to them, I'd be like, hey, what if like your lack of action causes the deaths of people? Yeah. And they go, well, that's the qadr of Allah. And I'm like, Okay.
No, you know what I think it is? I think fear is very important in these situations, instilling fear. Because most people think, oh, there's so many masjids. I'm just thinking, this is how I think too sometimes. Oh, I'm going to this masjid. What's the probability of a shooting happening here? There's so many Muslims around here. Nothing ever happens statistically. Majority of people think that way. But I think the people who are doing a good type of, I mean, dare I say, fear-mongering, I think that's important, and some people gravitate to that. And the few people that are affected by that are the ones that actually end up becoming serious. But I think even a majority of people, even that are probably in security, they really don't think something's going to happen. They're kind of on guard for like the first 2 weeks, and they're really excited about it. But then after a while, like, I don't have to just chill.
Well, you know? I mean, you hear the common thing, right? Oh, like you're carrying weapons because you're compensating for your lack of manhood, right? There's insinuations made like that towards people who are carrying weapons. But in a active shooter scenario, that's the guy you're relying on, because he's kind of the counterweight to your laziness, to the general laziness.
Yes.
It's not, no one's hating on anyone. It's just people in general are careless, and they were not.
And we don't want to feel that something bad's going to happen.
Yeah,
anyway.
they don't want to be prepared, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a level or a few people who are a bit paranoid, a bit more concerned than the others, depending on the word you want to use. But there's a level of attention that they give that is a little bit more than what normally is kind of acceptable, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of healthy to have people like that.
I think that's what I'm saying. You have to have those type of people that are considered paranoid, again, whatever word you want to call it.
Yeah.
But they're the ones that are going to be prepared, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm pointing at you. This is a habit. I just do this.
Sure.
They're going to be the ones that are actually prepared. But the other thing I notice is with some people that conceal and carry, maybe you've seen this issue too, is once they start concealing and carrying, and there's a caveat to this, is they grow out of this eventually, I think. When they first get it, maybe for the first year, they carry their gun everywhere, and they're actually like a little different type of nervous, and they're expecting something to happen. Well, nothing's actually going to happen, but they're actually, if they didn't have the concealed carry, they weren't carrying the gun in the first place, they were totally chill, relaxing, enjoying the weather. I've seen people's mood change. They have a concealed carry. I've seen this. They're carrying, and they're just like, they just become the Terminator, you know?
Yeah, it's a balancing act, right? Like, you have to. Number one is, yes, you are carrying something that if used incorrectly can end life, unjustly. So it's like when you, especially when people who don't work out or don't practice martial arts, all of a sudden you give them all this power, and now they're like, oh my God, it's for some people it's too much. Like it can't handle it, And
for some people it's like, maybe
like you shouldn't be carrying.
Yeah, and no, maybe for some people they're like waiting to get in a fight so they can be like, no one could mess with me type thing,
Yeah,
there's that too.
It's unfortunate, but yes.
So how do you deal with people? Like, what do you tell people that when they first get they're concealing carrying, they're actually carrying, and they're chambered? What's like some really good tarbiyah type advice that you give them?
Well, in our classes we teach that you're not just responsible, morally, ethically, financially, but you're also responsible spiritually. Because at the end of the day, you are going to be accountable in front of Allah for your actions. And we teach that, the mindset that this takes on is not just like even with massage security, a lot of guys will get into it, and now they want to police the musallis. Some massages will put up like no gun signs, and now they're like, oh, I want to make sure nobody else is carrying a gun, right? And they make that like their big thing, and they're getting into arguments with other musallis who are carrying, and so it's like so the problem becomes is now you're not about protecting the musallis, now you're just about policing them. Now you want to kind of control what people are doing. You kind of want to like use this power incorrectly. You are. Think of almost like a shepherd or a guardian, right? Responsibility. It's a responsibility that Allah will ask you about on the Day of Judgment.
And I think just a clarification, even about like the gun signs on masjids. Legally, it is illegal for anybody that's not appointed by the masjid to be carrying a gun. Other than that, anyone who the masjid appoints, that gun sign doesn't apply to them.
Depends on the state. Some states will make it legally enforceable. So in Illinois, it is a misdemeanor to carry into a building that has a no gun sign on it.
Okay. Even with permissions and everything like that.
You know, with like, let's say you have a CCL permit. It's just a place that's open to the public. You walk in with, you know, while carrying. You know, they have the sign properly displayed, and you know, like, and you get caught. Like that you could be charged with a misdemeanor. But you know, for the most part, it's, you know, that's why they'll say for massages to document, like if you have that sign up or you have an attached school building, to document, hey, who's part of your security team, who can carry, who cannot carry, like who can carry, who do you have, who has like written permission from you that this person's part of the volunteer team, they will be carrying.
Yes, but those are the people I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The sign doesn't apply to the voluntary security team, right? Or it does also?
It just once you've probably documented it, then it does not.
It does not. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the reason why I think some people.
But
I've heard that argument.
But it should be concealed.
Yeah,
like, you know,
should be concealed.
Yeah.
And again, I guess the word I was looking for is documentation, because some people that are uninitiated, you know, understandably so, they think that since the sign is there, nobody, even the security there, shouldn't be carrying a gun. You know, even if it's documented. And some people have that misunderstanding.
Yeah, it's, you know, the letter of the law is that you know, the only people that need a license to carry are people who are being paid. But again, this area of the law is kind of gray. So what I'm saying right now is what most people agree on, but there are police officers out there or lawyers out there that may disagree with it.
I get it. Yeah, no, a lot of things can change.
All right. Well, as we close things out, I just wanted to give some attention to the sister who went to Microsoft's. She's a Microsoft employee who did a act of protest against the seems like the president of the AI division of Microsoft, and she told them, while he's presenting, that he is selling AI, or he's basically telling AI is a force of good for humanity and stuff, but it's actually being used. His Microsoft's AI technology is being used in the war against Gaza, in the
so
ongoing
he
genocide.
admitted that, or she said that?
She's a AI engineer. Her name is Ibtihal.
Oh, her, yes.
And she, let me just share it right
Aboussad
here.
Or something.
Ibtihal Aboussad, a Microsoft employee, disrupted the company's 50th anniversary event to protest its use of AI. Shame on you, said Microsoft employee Ibtihal Aboussad, speaking directly to Microsoft AI CEO Mustafa Suleyman.
She's speaking to a Muzzy.
One of our own.
No, he's an atheist.
Oh, he is?
Oh, he is.
Okay,
I looked him up.
Okay, my man. Thank you. Making sure. My man, heck yeah.
But irregardless, it's still like you think the Israelis care whether people in Gaza are atheists or Palestinians are atheists? They don't care.
Yeah.
It's still like,
I'm not saying it's for us to make fun of him. For us to make fun of him.
He's still, it's still something to make fun of, because it's like, these people are killing your people, like your ethnicity, even in a nationalistic sense. Like even if they don't care what your religion is. They're killing Christians, Muslims, everyone. So he's still a sellout.
So what were the ramifications for her?
So no, her employment was terminated, but
she got deported.
No, she did not get deported, as some people were reporting. She did. Seems like she accepted a position in a foreign country. I think it was
Kuwait,
for another software company.
Dang.
Yeah, so she says, you are war profiteers. Stop using AI for genocide. Stop using AI for genocide in our region. You have blood on your hands. All of Microsoft has blood on its hands. How dare you celebrate when Microsoft is killing children?
50,000 people have died, and Microsoft powers this genocide in our region.
Thank you for your protest, I hear you.
Your Syrian family know about this, Mustafa.
I hear your protest, thank you.
Shame on you. You are a war profiteer.
I hear
Stop
you,
using AI for genocide, Mustafa. Stop using AI for genocide in our region. You have blood on your hands. All of Microsoft has blood on its hands. How dare you all celebrate when Microsoft is killing children? Shame on you all.
Thank you.
Gangster sister.
I hear your protest, thank you. Okay.
Did you say, I hear you, princess?
I hear your protest.
Oh, I was like,
princess.
what? Well, man,
British
mashallah,
accent.
dude.
No,
British accent.
Shout out to that sister. That
Yeah,
takes
dude.
guts,
Gangster, bro. In
If
front of all those
she
people?
had-
You kidding me?
If our leaders had a fraction of the courage that she had, I don't think we'd be in this mess, this humiliation
Damn,
that we're
bro.
experiencing. This is what ultimately this is what's needed from everyone, whether you're Muslim or not. You have to take away their ability to fire you. They can't fire everyone. Like they can't make it so that you have to make it impossible for them. Like how many people are you going to fire? Right now, the heartening statistic that came out just recently, Sheikh, you'll be happy to learn. Latest Pew poll came out just right now. Our man Glenn Greenwald just shared it, who is also a Jewish journalist. Unfavorable views of Israel among right-leaning Americans between the ages of 18 to 49 jumped from 35% to 50% now.
No, wow.
Right-wing Americans. Sorry, yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Here's a post. U.S. adults in 2022 was 42%. Now it's 53%. That's a majority, folks.
Wow.
That's a majority among the right in itself. We already know the left wing is already 53 or more than, I think 70% now. Sorry.
Probably a 65. Yeah.
1 second. Let me find
Wow,
this
that's
here.
really interesting. The other thing is that people, the next step is, look, people are really afraid, even though they know it's wrong, but we still have that huge attachment to the dunya, bro. It's like people don't want to lose their jobs. They get it. I know people like that personally. It's like, I'm not willing to sacrifice that much. My kids are going to get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble. I don't want this to happen to me. I don't want that to happen to me. And look, I understand the fear, but take a lesson from this.
71% of Democrats.
She's working in such a prestigious 71.
71% of Democrats under 50, and 50% of the GOP, the Republicans under 50.
Yeah.
Only older GOP, only older right wing people are still pro-Israel. Everyone else has like abandoned it.
That's amazing.
I've seen
That's
it in real life.
insane.
That is crazy.
That's why. So Netanyahu's actually having these meetings where he's bringing in influencers and people who have large followings across YouTube, and he's holding these meetings with them, trying to. So they're called Chatham House rules. Basically, you don't give away any information about who's attending and what's being talked about. But basically, he's having these meetings with all these influencers, trying to find out why people are gravitating towards Palestinians. This is how disconnected this moron is. He's like, in his mind, he's thinking, because of the Zionist propaganda machine, they're spending billions and billions in brainwashing the world. But no one's buying their BS anymore. They're clearly evil, and they're clearly bankrupt on their ideas. One of my friends, he just shared some article talking about how he works for a water company, right? And his vice president. So he shared this article about how Israel withholds water from the people of Gaza before October 7th, right? And how this kind of led to October 7th happening. And so his vice president took the article and reshared it in the company on his LinkedIn. And I was like, wow, that just doesn't happen. I mean, this is a major company. And you're seeing executives who's sharing like clearly horrible things that the Israelis are doing. I mean, after you see the things that happened with the ambulance, they literally massacred those medics and they buried them in a mass grave. How much more clear evidence do you need that this is a clear genocide? You targeted people who are emergency rescue services. And you said they were a threat when they had no threat. Nothing that was. They had lights and everything.
Do you think it's about him being disconnected, or they just keep on depending and banking on spreading lies, and they just have to do their work, and as long as they have a superpower with them, it's all that matters?
Sheikh, they lie like they breathe.
Yeah, they do.
That's their strategy.
Yeah,
lying until like people don't know what's true or not.
Yeah, they're a part of that deception too, bringing upon that deception. And I think the thing that's extremely, and I'm so happy, that's extremely painful for them is they spent billions of dollars, maybe trillions historically, to paint this picture of Palestinians and Muslims and Arabs, and it all ended, overnight, and everything just got uncovered. And as they panicked to try to fix all of that, you have people like this. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The sister, there's one thing that the huge lesson we could take from this is that I bet a majority of the people that were in there, let's say they all believed her, let's say they were all with her, with her sentiment, they all think she's stupid, they think she's crazy. Yeah. So you have to, when you do that type of protest, you have to understand the people that are automatically there around you, they're all going to think you're crazy. And if there's Muslims there, then like, dude, you're ruining it for all of us. Or why would you destroy your livelihood or your risk or your family's risk, right?
Yeah.
She didn't do it for those people. That's how difficult it is. You're not doing it for the people that are all around you. You're doing it because now the whole world is talking about it.
Yeah.
But it's not even for that. I mean, that's going to be the reverberative effect of it.
Yeah.
But you're obviously going to do it because it's wrong. But the reason why I think people have such a hard time protesting like this is because all the people that are directly around them, they know are going to think they're crazy. And that's such a strong force. It's a human thing, bro. That's why speaking truth to injustice is not an easy thing. No, man. It's a very difficult thing. But the fact that she's able to do that and pull it off that way, and mentioning him by name and mentioning, look how she did it too. She made it very personal. So that guy's never going to forget this. Yeah. If she just said Microsoft, he would have been like, oh, she's doing it to the team. But this dude's name is forever on the internet because she made it that way. Yeah. And he's going to be thinking about that every night before he goes to sleep. Yeah. And he's never going to forget this moment. Neither is the world. And she talked to Microsoft too. And she talked about the children. And but the fact that the thing that struck me the most is the geniusness of this is she talked about Mustafa specifically, and she kept on mentioning that name. Yeah. And it's
in the proper accent.
It is a beautiful name too. It's just unfortunate that people like that have that name, right?
Yeah.
But I think
do you remember the Turkish student? The Turkish student who got expelled.
Yeah.
What's her name?
They just picked her up on the street. I saw that.
Yeah,
video.
she was fasting.
Yep.
Hang on, detained.
And while you're looking for that, it's funny because
Rumeysa Öztürk is her name, and this is Rumeysa Öztürk. She's being denied. She had 3 asthma attacks without treatment in U.S. custody.
I don't know.
Now, I want people to think she's a Turk. She's a citizen of Turkey. How many calls do you think Erdogan's making to his boy Donald Trump and making sure that she gets released?
SubhanAllah.
Grand total of 0. And how many Muslims go around every time Erdogan's in trouble? Everyone's posting how much they're in support of him. All the Muslim bros, all the podcasts and stuff. Everyone's supporting this guy.
So how do you know? If I can play devil's advocate, regime. What if somebody says to you, "Well, you don't know how much he's communicating"?
It doesn't matter. I don't hear anything from him. You know, I mean, you can only judge by what's the apparent, right?
Yeah.
She's not released. She's been detained since Ramadan. She's had 3 asthma attacks while in custody. Her parents aren't giving any updates. They're cut off from communication. They don't know what's going on.
So the only way to know is if he actually makes a public statement. That's what you're saying.
He has to make a public statement.
Yeah, he has to.
We can't judge on people's intentions and what's
happening behind closed doors.
Yeah, that's a common thing. That's what all the Saudi Salafis talk about. Like, oh, you don't know what MBS is doing behind closed doors, Sim. Oh, really? I don't know. Okay, well, I can judge. Like, what do I know what you're doing behind closed doors? Anyone, you could use that on anything.
You're right.
Literally on every single thing, you could apply that logic on. Saying, just because I killed a baby doesn't mean you know what exactly was in my heart at that time.
Yeah.
You know?
You judge that's what you're talking about. It's a principle in Islam. Okay. You judge by what the apparent action is, right?
Right.
In order to take action against something, is whatever happened in public or whatever happened in the open, especially if it's this egregious. But yeah, you're right, and that's why I was saying that a lot of people have that misconception is that you have to make, especially if you're a statesman, you have to make a statewide, international statement that somebody has a person from your country that depends on you, that you're supposed to be their shepherd, that they come out and protect you, especially when you have medical conditions and you're supposed to be behind this whole thing about protesting for Palestine.
Yeah,
Right?
it's wild, bro, because we were told when we were young, we were like, reading Chomsky and doing all kinds of political analysis and stuff, and our parents would say, oh, Israel's behind everything, like, what are you guys doing? Like, we would laugh at them like, oh, they're not in control of every single... Well, turns out they control a lot of things.
They were right about a lot of things.
They were right about a lot of things. All of our Edward Said books and stuff, that none of it makes any sense. All the John Mearsheimer, rational political actors, all these books that you've read where you're trying to make sense of how the world works. Yeah, maybe it works to a certain extent. I'm not saying it's all completely useless, but for the most part, when it comes to how they deal with Muslims, they're pretty much right.
Yeah, you're right.
They were pretty much... Look, Theo Vaughn is actually calling them out on this.
Because then you also wonder, like, if there's Israeli influence, because that's a big thing now. Like, how much Israeli influence is there in, like, American politics,
Oh, there's a lot, yeah.
And it seems to be a ton. I feel like America's just like... It feels like we're just owned by Israel, And we just never knew it.
I thought we owned them.
That's what I thought.
Uh-oh.
Because then you also wonder, if there's Israeli influence, because that's a big thing now. Like, how much Israeli influence is there in, like, America?
Oh, yeah. So he's repeating. But, yeah, you seeing people, Theo Vaughn, you're seeing comedians coming on Joe Rogan, all these major names, they're all, like, waking up to this fact. It's not just about us anymore, about Muslims. They're realizing Israelis are... And this is why you're finding out all these things related to the JFK files and stuff.
Yes.
The close relationship of the CIA with the Israeli intelligence, and how and why they are working part and parcel with Ibtihal, Mohammed's AI division that she was part of in Microsoft. They are gathering intelligence on everything and every single creation on Earth, and they're collecting data on everyone. Because that's what they do. That's what would you learn about the whole Epstein thing? They're collecting evidence on everyone.
Yeah.
Dirt, how to control people, how to manipulate them. The more information you have about someone, the more leverage you have over them, right? So this is a partnership, and this is not like something I would say Israel is completely in control of. I think there's a lot of agreement within the American deep state where they're like, you know what? The information that Israel is giving us about everything that's happening in the world, it's worth it. So whatever they want, we're going to make sure they get. So it's not necessarily about their belief system or anything like that.
Not about a lot of people had that, like 6 months after the whole October 7th thing happened. A lot of people I met solely believe it happened to be politicians being compromised. I think that's a part of it. I don't think it's all of it. I think it's what you said, the data that they can provide to the world and to the deep state. Dude, let them continue, because this is so valuable to us. We'll deal with that later. We'll deal with the genocide later. But this data is much more important to us. That's the problem with capitalism.
I mean, what we learned about the Israeli intelligence company, Paragon, right? Paragon is one of these companies that captures all data, everything. There's these new solutions called Wiz and stuff that the Israelis started. They're like basically cybersecurity companies that are now being absorbed into Google, and they have all these former Israeli intelligence operatives who are still part of these companies. They're all getting embedded into the American corporate apparatus, where they're going to be sucking in and siphoning off data related to everyone into Paragon.
Wow.
Like it's all like making sense. What's amazing about Gaza is that it's opened our eyes to seeing how the things that are connecting, because there was just too many blanks. There was you didn't have a clear idea of what the motivations are for Americans.
That's important.
Sacrificing so much political clout over the world, so much moral high ground, because they're the bastion of freedom and against injustice. They try to project themselves as Superman, right? They're there to defend everyone. And how could they be in bed with such an evil entity that is clearly committing all kinds of horrible war crimes all virtually every single year since the Nakba, right? Why would they sacrifice everything for these wretched people? Well, there's a lot of advantages that they're getting from it, and you're finding that out. Wow,
No.
all the different dirt that they have on each political leader all across the world, how they can control and manipulate political events. It's all coming to light. Wow, it's pretty much established. The Mossad and the CIA had some sort of agreement in taking out JFK. It's all that. There's no smoking gun or statement that it's there. But if everything is pointing to something, even though it's not that piece of that smoking gun, that same bullet's not there, that the bullet that marks that it's made in Israel or whatever, that doesn't mean that they weren't responsible. It's just that piece of evidence isn't there. All the evidence is pointing to it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
that's why I think, man, all the things that a lot of things I think that Tucker Carlson and what's her name, Candace Owens are covering. I think she's gonna end up assassinated, bro. The stuff that she's talking about.
Yeah.
How is she still alive, bro?
Well, so they're in a campaign. What the Israelis do is that's their last resort. It's not something that I would put past them. Especially, they would be more reluctant to sabotage her and ruin her credibility. And that's what they're doing with different things that are happening in her. I don't want to get into her the smear campaigns that they're trying to put on her, but they're going to. That's their thing. Former intelligence operatives in the Mossad have said clearly that their way to discredit people from the 60s and 70s was just create a whisper campaign among individuals like this person, is untouchable. He's not right in the head. He's got, some kind of dirt on him that they would just throw it, and they would just have to keep repeating it. And they don't care. Remember, they lie like they breathe. So they would just keep repeating something about somebody, and eventually they just become like, oh, well, I don't want to become. Remember back in the day I don't want to be all Alex Jones or I don't want to be all Candace Owens here.
Yeah,
so that's what it ends up becoming.
That's how
you become the clown. Like, oh, I don't want to be that person.
Or that's what they call it, conspiracy theorists, right?
So that's how they discredit people, and it becomes kind of like the thing in mainstream media and stuff. Like, oh, I don't want to become that person.
That's true.
So that's what they're doing with that comedian Dave Smith, even though he's Jewish.
He's legit. I like him.
He's Jewish. Glenn Greenwald. They're pulling out that guy Sam Harris from the 2000s. He was really popular. The atheist guy. Do you remember him? He used to come on Joe Rogan all the time, spewing his atheist nonsense, and his own crowd discredited him and kicked him out because he ended up becoming a complete hypocrite. But they're rolling him out to discredit. So all these hardcore Zionists.
Yeah, I saw it like a clip
Shapiro.
of. I didn't watch it. He's supposed to be discrediting Joe Rogan or not?
Joe Rogan, Dave Smith. He was bringing out all these people. He's
Did you watch that clip?
Russell Brand was starting to defend Palestinians, and he ended up getting arrested or charges are being leveled at him. Allegations of rape.
I remember that.
Miss Rachel.
Yeah, dude.
She, even though Miss Rachel in her song, I don't know. It wasn't a song. She was like kind of making a prayer, protect the Palestinian, the children of Gaza, and she also prayed for the Israeli hostages too. And they said she's spewing Hamas propaganda. Miss Rachel, who in the world would go against Miss Rachel? She's the sweetest, most innocent person. Like that's like hitting on Mr. Rogers. Like, how? Barney.
Barney.
But anyway, this is how they operate, and it looks like everyone in the world is catching on now, as the Pew poll just indicates to us that 70% of left-wing people are already are anti-Israel.
But what do you think? So I don't like to talk about everything negative, but my mind just goes this way. What do you think they're going to do to battle those numbers? They're not okay with those numbers. No, the deep state's not okay with that number. Israel's not okay with that number. 50% on the right. What are they going to do what are they going to attempt to make that go back?
For them, it's a long-term problem. Right now, their eyes are the people who are the power players. Are they on our side? Check mark, yes. So as Gaza gets leveled and burnt to a crisp, they're going to start funding more and more Holocaust movies in Hollywood, and more propaganda, shoring up sympathy among people. You have to remember that the propaganda machine towards Zionism started way early on in the 40s. This is you realize, like, when you were a kid, some of our friends at a Holocaust museum, like, why would you be forced? Like, you have to go, like like this kind of ingrainment towards their which is the Holocaust is a horrible thing, no doubt, but to use that as a vehicle for your genocidal atrocities that you're doing on Palestinians, that's incredibly wrong, right? You're using something
Evil.
tragic that happened.
Evil, satanic.
So but I don't think that those things are working, but they will undoubtedly use new types of campaigns, new types of media devices to convince people. I don't think it'll work. I think enough people have seen it would have worked on the boomer generation, who's a bit more gullible to that. But I think that when you see a genocide live, you're seeing decapitated children.
But that's what I'm saying.
That sticks in everyone's head.
When is I agree with you 100% now. That makes a lot more sense now that checkmarking the powers that are going to assist them the most, they have that taken care of, the ones who pull the strings. But in my mind, public opinion also is very important to them too, right? Like, how much public opinion gets swayed. And the problem with public opinion is just, it's not the counterbalance that public opinion has against Israel and America funding Israel is only going to temporarily have small changes that people can see so they get a little pacified. It's not a solution. It's not going to be a solution.
The only solution is people like Ibtihal, people like Theo Vaughn. They have to all come out. You can't have people.
But even if they do, how much do you?
So you can only do it until you silence enough people, right? And that's what they're going to do. Their way is to squelch or shut down conversation by making sure that all these people who are protesting in campuses and stuff, they get quieted. People who have, I'm sure, when you're coming from a impoverished country, there's people depending on you to succeed in an American university. Well, are you going to put that on the line by talking about Gaza? No, you got people depending on you back home. You got to make sure you make money and take care of them. So they're going to want to try to control you through this money, and this is how they have a lockhold or a stranglehold on a lot of people's voices. But as more and more people keep talking, they're going to realize like their money's of no use. Yeah, they can't kick out everyone out of the country, Yeah, and so that's why they're the recent State Department spokesperson was asked, "Are naturalized citizens under threat?" And she wouldn't answer. So they're trying to even threaten to strip your citizenship if you support. If you're against Israel. Wow. This is how disparity. This is the level of fear they want to create in you. And at some point, Americans, people of conscience, have to say enough's enough. No, we're not gonna allow this kind of control over us. You're not gonna sacrifice our freedom. This is what makes our country great. And when that sense comes into Americans, that's when their whole gig is up. That 70% or that 50% will become 90%. Yeah. But anyway,
kind of touches on that post you made. The other day, which was like, it's not just about prepping, but it's also about not spending your money to get yourself in a lot of debt, because that's another way to control you.
Exactly.
So how can, like, if you speak out about somebody, then you lose your job. Now, like, I got a car payment, I got a house payment, I got this. Yeah. And
the best thing you could do is pay off your property.
Yeah. You off the property.
When you have a paid off home, even if it's a small piece of property, you can never be out on the street. Your people, your family will always have a roof over your shoulder or over their heads. But the way that they make or design your thinking into seeing like, okay, well, that can wait. Start paying a bit more, whatever you can, towards your mortgage. If you have a mortgage, start adding more. Make that 30-year thing become a 10-year thing. You know, depends on how much you put on. Every family's different. I'm not gonna tell anyone what they should do with their money, but that's a decision they need to make. But in order to find that freedom, that's how they control you. They play on your fears of being out on the street and being unemployed, being at the mercy of others, you know. So you have to realize these are things that go back to your core principles as a Muslim. You go back to your Aqidah, where you realize, like, these people are not my providers. I have to say what is the truth. They cannot control me. They're not the ones who feed me. They're not the ones who put the roof over my head.
SubhanAllah.
You know, and we as a Muslim community, when we see people, if something like that happens, something unfortunate where they were to lose their job for a social media post or something they make, you have to rally around them, and you have to support them. You have to create some, you have to raise money for them and make sure that their family has everything they need.
Yeah, it's so awesome how the sister bounced back and like she got a job.
She's incredibly smart. You know, I mean, she's a Harvard grad and everything. So, alhamdulillah, not everyone's in that type of luxurious position. Yeah. She's the exception, and the sacrifice of a factory worker is much more greater for him. If it was a factory worker to say something,
that's true.
Or that maybe that factory is the only source of income in their city. That person's voice of speaking up may be greater than Ibtihal's.
Yeah, you're right. No, I agree.
Even though he may not get the press coverage because he's not, all decorator and
that's everything. That's a different type of sacrifice.
But that's a different type of sacrifice.
Yeah.
So,
Allah make us from amongst those people who sacrifice and not be bogged down by fear and worry. I think that's really important, man. What's the word with the Turkish sister? What's going to happen with her? Is there any closure of what's supposed to happen, or is she just going to get deported? Like, what's the deal?
I have not heard anything, actually.
Have you heard anything by any chance?
I have not. I was going to ask, has the Turkish embassy put anything out?
Federal judge, Vermont federal judge denies request to order ICE to release tough student on bail. So the Vermont judge denied the request to release her on bail. Wow. So
they keep taking them down to Louisiana, right? Like, there's probably some judges down there that are friendly to the Trump administration.
Oh man.
Yeah. So this is the kind of situation we have, like judges who are compromised too. So we'll see.
The upholders of justice.
Yeah. Well, there's some good judges too, but
of course
this one seems like it's going to make life difficult.
Allah make everything easy for her, man. Wow.
Keep all these students in your du'as. Keep everyone all around the world in your du'as. Tremendous sacrifices are being made. Even if you aren't in the position to raise your voice, you definitely have always that voice to raise your hands and make du'a to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to alleviate the suffering of your fellow brothers and sisters and everyone who's advocating against injustice and oppression around the world. That's our first show for us. Qawwam Tactical, how do we reach you?
You can go to our website at qawwamtactical.com, QAWWAM tactical.com. Reach out either on Instagram or Facebook. Just search for Qawwam Tactical, will come up. Otherwise, you can also email us if you want to reach us out to us directly at info@qawwamtactical.com.
That's a show, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, Sayed. We'll talk to you later. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
I want their leader brought here. I want him brought to me. I want the revolution crushed.